My name is Okari. I remember the late 1950s like it was yesterday. I was just a young clerk back then, working near the University College in Ibadan. Nigeria was on the cusp of something new, still trying to find her feet. We talked big about freedom, about independence, but our minds were still tied with ropes we couldn't even see. It was during that time I first met Chinua Achebe. I didn't know his name that day, not at first. I just saw a quiet man, someone with clear, steady eyes and a voice that didn't need to shout to be heard. He had come to speak to students, and a few of us workers, like me, we sneaked in after our shifts to listen. He stood there, so simple. No shouting, no big, complicated grammar. When he began to speak, it was like he was having a conversation right inside my own head. He said something that changed everything for me. He said stories matter. And then he said, if we do not tell our own story, others will tell it for us, and they may not tell it well. I looked around. People were nodding slowly. Some chuckled softly. But for me, I felt something shift deep in my chest. A truth I had never put into words. Later that year, someone handed me a book. The cover was plain. The title, Things Fall Apart. I started reading it on the bus ride home. The noise of the market, the conductor's calls, it all just faded away. When the bus reached my stop, I didn't move. The conductor had to shout at me, "Oga, we don't reach." I was completely lost in another world that felt exactly like my own. The village in that book, it could have been my own village. The men, the women, the way the elders spoke, even the small quarrels and the big celebrations. Na so we be. That's how we are. The main character, Okonkwo, he reminded me so much of my uncle. A man so strong, so proud, but so deeply afraid of shame and failure. And then, the white man came into the story. Not as some great hero, not as a cartoonish devil, but just as a part of what happened. A force of change, bringing its own logic and its own consequences. That was the first time I had ever seen our life, our people, written down without insult or caricature. Before Achebe, most books about Africa made us look like simple fools or silent shadows in our own land. Achebe didn't beg anyone to like us. He didn't try to pretty up the picture. He just showed us as we were. The good and the bad, all mixed together, just like real life. He held up a mirror, and for the first time, the reflection was true. Years passed. The 1960s brought hard days for Nigeria. The country was breaking apart. The promise of independence was cracking under pressure. War was coming. I saw Achebe again during those tense times. He spoke about pain, about loss, about the difficult truths we had to face. He never shouted abuse. He didn't hide his side, but he spoke like a man who loves his home deeply, but will not lie for it. He believed that patriotism should not mean blindness. When the war finally ended, a heavy silence fell over many people. So much had been lost, but Achebe was not quiet. He kept writing. He kept talking. He had to go abroad, but it always felt like his feet, his spirit, stayed right here in Nigeria. I remember people would ask him, "Why do you write in English, the language of the colonizer?" And his answer stayed with me forever. He said he was using the language we were all given, the one that now connected us across our different tongues, and he was bending it, shaping it to carry the weight and the rhythm of our own African experience. He was taking the master's tool and building his own house with it. Decades went by. I grew older. My hair turned gray. I had my own children, and they went to school. One day, I saw my son reading Things Fall Apart for his literature class. He was reading it like it was the most normal thing in the world. And that's when I truly understood. Something fundamental had changed. Our story, the one Achebe dared to write, was now inside the classroom. It wasn't standing outside the door, waiting to be invited in. It belonged there. The day Chinua Achebe died, the radio played soft, somber music. All across the country, people talked in low voices, like a great tree in the village had fallen. I sat outside my house, and my mind went back to that first day in Ibadan, all those years ago. I was just a small, unknown clerk in a big crowd. But his words, his quiet, powerful words, had followed me all my life. Achebe didn't give us pride by shouting slogans. He gave us something far more powerful. He gave us a mirror. And when we looked inside, we saw ourselves clearly. Our strength, our beauty, our weakness, our terrible mistakes. Some people didn't like what they saw in that mirror. The truth can be uncomfortable. But many of us, millions of us, did. We saw ourselves, and it was enough. That is his legacy. He showed the world our true face. And just as importantly, He showed it to us too. And once you see yourself clearly, really see yourself, you can never go back to pretending you are invisible. You cannot be unseen. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, please consider subscribing for more.